For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the E.T. Stand Podcast.
Welcome. As the Shire continues to get belted with rain, we return to brighten your mood, enlighten your mind, and bathe your day in light. We're here to shine a light on all the good things, Sharkies. At least, well, we'll try to, because I'm sure we'll be able to find some things to complain about. Welcome to the ET Stand, the Sharks fans podcast where we let our talking do the football. We're in all the usual places: YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you guys want us to be. If we aren't there, let us know and we'll try and get there. While listening, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps with everything we do. There's also a Discord channel where fans can chat Sharks and any other topic you like. The link will be in the chat and we'll pop it in the description below. Also, don't forget about Super Chats. They're there. They help the channel and certainly get us to focus on whatever you want to talk about. Maybe ask Lats to sing a song or something. With me is the man who knows that obscure Sharks fact you're trying to recall before you even know you're trying to recall it. How are you, Williams?
Good to be back. Thanks, Franco.
Very good. Excellent. We also have a bloke who may have walked under every ladder or crossed every black cat to get here. Francis, I don't know when you were invited on, but it always seems to be when there's an injury of some sort in our ranks. I promise we'll get you on one of these days where there isn't an injury. How are you going, mate?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Happy to be here as well and look forward to it.
Brilliant. Well, I know it's a chronic affliction, but hopefully you'll be able to shed some light on Boldo's inability to type a sentence without using typos. And we've also got Lats, who's lamented with all this rain, it's hard to keep his collection of rare mould away from all the common mould. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. How you going?
Yeah, not too bad, buddy. Not too bad.
Good stuff.
Well, while we're with you, why don't you just hit us straight up with the socials and take us through?
Let's get into it.
These socials are brought to you by Solve Accounting, the group you need for all your tax and bookkeeping needs. Take it away, buddy.
Alrighty. Yesterday, the Sharks pilot medical update that was dropped by the club confirmed everyone's worst fears and reporting Captain Cam has unfortunately ruptured his ACL in the Sharks thrashing of the Titans at Sharks Stadium on Saturday. Cam limped out of a tackle in the 20th minute and immediately called for the trainer after trying to run it off for a couple of seconds. We knew it was serious given how tough Cam is. All across the socials, fans are discussing his replacement, not only at lock, but also at captain. Fans are concerned how this will affect our defence also, as we know how much work Cam gets through in that department. And they're also concerned that Cam may have played his last game for the Sharks with him due to test the open market and the Bears chasing his signature. So all the best with your recovery, Cam, and we'll watch this space. Our Jersey Flegg team were on the wrong end of a 30-point thrashing going down to the Eels, 46 points to 16 at Kellyville Park over the weekend. The boys went into the sheds down 12-4 at the break before the Eels dominated them in the second half. Tries to Danevsky, Sandy and Whalebone, and Nikora Williams slotting 2 or 3 with a boot. The loss sees the boys sit in 4th on the ladder and they go on to play the 14th place Silktails in Nadi in Fiji this coming Saturday at 10 a.m. The Newtown Jets went down to the Eels in an absolute thriller at Kellyville Park over the weekend also. Tries to McCulloch, Clark, Stone Street, a double to Michael Gabriel, Peru kicking 4 from 5, weren't enough to get the spoils. The loss sees the lads drop out of the 4 where they sit in 5th position. They have this week off with the bye, however, to regroup and reset before getting their campaign back on track. Our NRLW squad overcame an 8-0 halftime deficit to down the Titans 12 points. A nil-all half-time deficit, I believe.
The other deficit.
Yeah, the other deficit, which Williams filled me in on earlier. I forgot to adjust my notes. Caitlin Johnson-Green making a Sharkies debut only 3 months after giving birth to her first child, who was in attendance in a little Sharks jersey with mum's name on it, which was very cute. Tries to Emma Veron, Cassie Staples, Shantae Kioratu nailing 2 penalty goals, saw the girls seal the win. The girls now sit 5th position, go on to play the 6th place Warriors at FMG Stadium, Waikato in Hamilton at 1:45 p.m. this Sunday. And finally, boys, the Sharks have nominated second rower and proud Indigenous woman Rhiannon Byers for the 2025 Veronica White Medal for exceptional work in the community. Byers, a strong advocate for Indigenous issues and mental health, has spent countless hours in schools and in the broader community where she mentors close to 400 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students annually. I couldn't think of a more worthy participant. Be sure to head to thesharks.com.au or nrl.com to vote. Voting closes on August 26 at 5 p.m. with the winner announced at the Daily M Awards ceremony.
One for Boldo, eh?
Yeah, mate, had to get that in there.
I don't know, Boldo was here this week for those pronunciations.
Oh, dear. All right. Well, thanks very much, Lats.
Mate.
Very good. Well, Lats and I had a pretty debrief on Saturday night. However, now that the dust has settled and everyone's had time to reflect, we might just chat on it a little bit more with a couple of people who weren't with us there. So, Francis, 50 points, mate. We don't see that too often. Did you enjoy the match?
Yeah, I love the match. I thought it was a good 65, 70-minute effort. I thought and that's been half our problem, not being to play 80 minutes. Their intercept try at the end and their last try sort of took the shine off it, but I thought it was a great effort. You know, we defended solidly at times, and I think we can be quite pleased with the effort and look forward to having a break and freshen up and take on. I think it's the Knights in the last round, is it?
It is.
Yeah.
Last home game.
No, actually, is it the Bulldogs?
Doggies.
Bulldogs.
Doggies away last round. Knights at home.
So
Second last.
second last.
Correct.
Yeah. Williams, what did you make of the match, buddy?
Well, I enjoyed it with yourself, so it was great to get down there to a live game. I think we've both traded places for most of the season down there, but fun afternoon. Obviously, we were happy early. Then you could hear a pin drop when they scored those back-to-back tries, the intercept, and then tearing down our right edge, their left attack in front of the ET stand there for that second straight after. But around that 3 to 5 minute period, I suppose we were getting good set distance. We were holding them to only 20 to 30 metre sets. I thought our defence was getting off their line pretty well. The kicking from Trindle, especially, you guys nailed it in the debrief, was exceptional. And I really loved how he was just giving them no room to move. We were kicking and we were pinning them down inside the corner, inside their 10 every kick. And it was a bit breezy. It was different to normal at Shark Park. And normally you've got a southerly. It was a westerly, so it was all across the ground. But I really did like how Trindle was kicking into the corner that the breeze was affecting, but he was still just putting it up there, and it was just falling perfectly. So he didn't put any of those out of place. And then there was that bomb, obviously, in the second half that we want to see more of it, more torpedoes. He's not quite Matt Burton, no one is, but they're pretty good. So he can put them up more, can create from there. And Nico, obviously, with his kick for his own try as well, that was handy.
Gave Ronnie a few opportunities to throw someone over the sideline, which was always fun to see.
Which was handy. And Ronnie actually got a bat back. He's got a few now, bat back that actually didn't knock on. Obviously, in the prelim final last year, things may have been different if Ronnie had managed to bat the ball backwards rather than forwards to Nico, scoring off a Trindle kick, and Trindle cleaned up with a try similar to the one that he got. I think it was his second try against the Cowboys in the semi-final. It was very, very similar to that. So it was good. Wasn't all kicking, though. I did note that on ABC Grandstand on Sunday, they were talking about how 4 of the first 5 tries in the first half anyway from the Sharks were from kicks, and is that something to worry about? I don't know, but I also think that the Titans didn't provide particularly stiff opposition. And also, interestingly, too, we didn't get a repeat set from a grubber or anything into the goal until the 60-something minute. So it's not like we sustained pressure. We got a few 6 against, but every time we were getting down there, we were scoring. And that was both through the middle with Tapua and also both wingers getting 2 tries. Hiroti, you hitting the nail on the head at the ground, Franco, and also in the debrief where would we have scored with Ramian? Not in that fashion, I don't think, the way that what he provided. So, and we were directly in line too with that grubber that he put in for the Kennedy try right at half time. Yeah. So it was a good result. The team showed that they could do it. Francis did say though that we faded out for periods, and later on I think they'd be a bit disappointed with that. Interesting, McInnes live at the ground with him, I suppose, trying to jog up the tunnel. We had no idea, no inkling at all that it was an ACL because I suppose he's hobbling around a fair bit. He takes a fair bit of beating, and then it was only until late on that we received that message or that update saying there was a knee injury that was concerning. So poor bugger. But it was a good day out at Shark Park. Great weather, and hopefully a sign of things to come. Hopefully.
Geez, I hope those guys claiming 4 out of 5 tries coming off kicks weren't including a chip chase and a grubber through the line.
I was so who was it? Luke Lewis quickly denied it. It was the former Manly halfback. I'm trying to remember his name, John Gibbs, who is a little bit anti-Cronulla. And then also too, I heard Matt Rogers on SEN last night saying that he liked what he saw. The others, Sats and a few others, were talking down the Sharks' chances, but he did say too that consistency and big moments is an issue. So again, and also I think it was Joel Kane was talking about you can't really read much into an away team that may have nothing to play for, go on an interstate trip. That's where players can tend to muck up a bit. They can tend to throw in the towel a bit. So similar to what the Knights did in Townsville on Sunday afternoon. So
yeah, we sort of spoke about this on the debrief, Lats. You can only play what's in front of you, right? It was some wooden spooners that we're up against. So
yeah,
you know,
they did have that to play for. They didn't want the spoon. Still a couple of weeks left for South to fall in a hole. But yeah, look, I'll tell you what, I think Jalen de Groot's still having nightmares of that bomb floating in the sun all afternoon, with Ronnie bearing down on him, as Williams alluded to. It was nice to just have that comfort while we're sitting there watching the game and not be concerned that they're going to come over the top of us or anything like that. But I do think it's a bit of a false sense of security. I'm not too concerned about the Knights, but it's going to be tough in that last round against the Bulldogs, especially unless they rest players. If the minor premiership's out of reach for them or whatever, but it will be a tough game.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was still one of those things that I mean, look, I'm not going to say he's the smartest Sharks fan I know, but he certainly watched a lot of Sharks games to know that this was a bit of a danger game, that this was one of those scenarios where Sharkies could have lost, and Boldo sort of said he's picking a loss against the Titans. So, you know, it was good to see that we performed the way we did, but there was a bit of trepidation coming into this game, especially after that loss to the Dragons, which was another game we're expected to win. So for the Sharks, I think, to turn up and do what they did, yes, it would have been nice to go on with the job, but I think it was certainly something that we weren't expecting. I don't think there were many people tipping the Sharks to put 50 points on them. So that was a good thing to see.
Well, it's similar to the Titans last year. We played up there. We'd lost to them in Coffs Harbour, and then the game we went to play against them up the Gold Coast, they were on a bit of a run, showing that they could play gritty and score points, both depending on what the style of game was. And we beat them, was at 44-0. So I don't know if we're a bit of a bogey side for them at times or what, but that's two big games where the Titans have had a bit of expectation into it, and they've either fallen apart or we've torn them apart, or both.
I was quite concerned how Jaden Campbell would play. He did nothing. We didn't allow him to do anything, but he was quite poor. I think that's is their most dangerous weapon in attack. Him linking up with Brimson and making the breaks and whatnot. And it was funny because all the rumours swirling with he might be coming to the Sharks. I thought maybe he's going to want to put on a show. I don't know, but. Who knows? I was just quite disappointed with Campbell.
Maybe he did put on a show.
Maybe. Yeah, he's already playing for us. Fitzy's been in his ear.
Our line speed live was impressive, especially for the first half. I was happy and surprised with how they responded to conceding the two tries in quick succession. We had a pretty good defensive set straight after the second try, and we were restricting them well. And then that hit live. I don't know, Franco, if you were up with your son or not at the time, but that hit on Tino, that bump by Sifa, I think I felt it from my seat.
And
how
that sucked the air out of the audience, didn't it?
I don't think he was coming back. He couldn't get off the ground.
Yeah, because we
should have been straight off.
Yeah, we were watching. It was right in line with where we were. The trainer did these ones, and the refs just gone go, and then we couldn't believe it. 15 minutes later, when he came back out there, so
not to mention the trainer trying to sell it to the ref that he's fine.
Well, that's what I mean. With it, like, the ref within a second, because the crowd was like, as soon as the trainer went like this, and I don't know who the trainer was thumbs upping, but he was trying the ref, and the ref just had nothing of it. He's like, "You out of your mind? You couldn't get up." Yeah, so
it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so your key indicators are, and Francis, you might be able to correct me on this one. It's wobbly legs, inability to get up.
Instability. Yeah.
So he showed all of those signs.
Laying motionless on the ground for a split second. Yeah, automatically off. Yeah. So he did all those. He had all those, and it was unbelievable. I was with a few of my mates. We just shook our heads when they gave the thumb up. And thank goodness the ref overruled it straight away.
Yeah,
but the fact that
incredibly
he passed the test.
Passed and came back.
Yeah, I found that a bit surprising, to be honest. I thought it was going to be a Category 1, not a Category 2.
Yeah, it had all the telltale signs, which was a bit of a surprise. I've got to say that I think the you spoke about the line speed there, Williams. Probably needs a little bit of work on our right edge there, with the combinations being a little bit different.
That's where they found us out. Yeah,
that's where they found us out. Obviously, that's not a long-term problem with Nickera coming back, but the combination there between Hines and Burns and Hiroti was sort of all new players there, or new combination. Didn't quite gel, but still did well, I thought. Just try and keep an eye on that one, I reckon.
One final point, I suppose, shout out to Rob Valensky from your debrief to listen to today. I liked his reference to Brains and Thunderbirds. If Chris Kelly shaves his beard, he may well look like the Hood. So, I was a big Thunderbirds fan back in the day. So,
lovely, very good. Well, we've got a good comment here. SJD says Boldo tipping the Titans is further proof that he really does support the Dargans. So, true colours are coming out there. Boldo in reply says, we win when I tip, we lose, and we win when I tip, we lose, SJD. It could be a new trend. Yeah, like your spelling and typos, mate. Might have to tip when we lose every game from here on out.
This illiteracy also proves that Boldo is a Dargan supporter.
Brilliant, very good. Yes, but it was a wonderful match. Absolutely enjoyed it. It was a great day out at the game. The crowd was up. The crowd had a good time. Lots to cheer about. And so, as per the headline of this podcast, things were pretty down around these parts after losing to the Dargans. And so after that performance, are the Sharkies forgiven? Can we wipe clean the stench, Lats?
No, mate, we can't. That was unforgivable, that loss to the Dragons. That hurt us so much, not to mention the Dragons getting rolled by the understrength Warriors the following week to give those Warriors another 2-point buffer on top of us. No, mate, we're not back. We played the last place Titans, and we let a couple of soft tries in there. As much as I'd like to say we are, we're not. Again, we'll probably touch up the Knights, but the big test is the final round.
Yeah, fair enough. Williams, you've been a passionate supporter for a while now. You've seen the whiplash, the 180 from fans hating on a team one week, lauding them the next. Where do you sit on the roller coaster?
We've done it throughout our history. I haven't gone a quick dive or a deep dive or anything, but just rattling off the top of my head, plenty of times we've had pretty insipid losses, and we've turned around and backed it up the following week with a good win. Even back 2004 in the Stuart Raper days. Remember we lost Souths, the Greg Bird kneeing of Shane Martini. The following week, we then got pumped by the Cowboys at home, and everyone's like, we're off to the spoon. And then the Raiders, who I think challenged for the finals that year, we went and put 40 on them at Shark Park the following Saturday. It's just up and down. We do have the ability to bounce back. That's what they did. That's what should be expected on a sunny Saturday afternoon at Shark Park against the last place side. We should be playing that way. the consistency has been the issue all year round. So until they string wins together, which they haven't really been able to do, we got 4 in a row before, but we're going to need that and more going into the finals. So the Bulldogs and then into the finals will be the test. And then even if we don't turn up against the Knights, they could potentially pull our pants down like they almost did last year as well. So consistency.
Francis, you've been inside the walls before. What's the attitude of the players like either after a loss or a win like that? Does it turn around, or do they know where they're standing? What's the story?
Well, I think after the loss to the Dragons, I think players and staff would have been hurt, embarrassed. As we've seen players say, they don't go out there with a mindset not to win or not to play hard, but they would have been embarrassed looking back at how they played. And often a big bounce back, a big effort with large scores comes the following week. And I'm with you, Lats. I think it's often a week better than you can fall back into old habits the following week. So, they've got to focus now and try and use the bye. And but the actual players' mentality, I think they do get the monkey off their back with a big win, but they've got to go on with it. So I think their attitude will be a lot more positive. And yep, we're back in the groove. But it's as you guys have already explained, we've got a very winnable game and then a very challenging game, and they've got to win both of them. Yeah.
I think the thing that hurts most about losing to the Dargans, apart from losing to the Dargans, is that was our key path to the top 4. Now it's really just a mathematical as opposed to in we go, which is a shame. Here's an interesting one for you, Williams. In sport, why is it a high and low? Why does sport seem to be so hard to keep level? Everyone's riding the highs and down in the dumps. What's going on there? Is there some psychology, something you've read? What can you give us on this one?
It's a few things. It's the millimeters, it's the inches, as Francis was saying before. It does, obviously they go in, they want to win each week, but it doesn't take much to be off, I suppose. You look at the Dragons game, there was the weather, things were a bit wet underfoot. We had a bit of a lead early, and then, we conceded, had a bit of a lead early, and then just couldn't get out of our own end. And a few little things like if we, let's say, insert moment here, held the ball, scored the try in key moments, they could have turned that match, and we butchered it late. So yes, we didn't play well, and don't think it's possible to play well all the time. Don't know why that is. I'm sure there's plenty of sports psychologists making a lot of money out of that, but I think the emotions from us is more pronounced than maybe with the players. And I know Fitzgibbon always talks about I suppose looking at the performance, looking at the KPIs that he looks at, looking at the effort and things like that, and then going from there. And if you worry about the process, then the results will follow rather than the other way around. As we saw with Ange Postecoglou with Tottenham on a side point. So yeah, it is, I suppose, in high performance sport, if you're off only by a tiny bit, only 1 or 2%, that can make all the difference.
And if you spill your beer, that makes the difference as well, especially when you're losing. It's just a bad day all round.
Oh, it is. It is. And if it's raining and you're walking back like that Warriors game back in 2023 that we gave up a massive lead twice and then went home, and it was absolutely flogging down walking back to the car, and that 10-minute walk felt like about an hour and 10 minutes. So yeah, you're right. It all compounds.
Absolutely. So sounds like we haven't forgiven them. Kind of touched on it. What do we need to see to forgive them? I think it seems a bit of a cop-out to say we need to win the premiership, but is there anything that at this late stage of the season we can see from them to make us forgive, or is it done now? We got the dirty on them. What do you say, lads? Oh, okay, go Williams.
Go, lads. I've got my metric.
Mate, I just want to see consistency. I want to see longer, better performances during a game. This is a great start. It's quite psychological, that question, Franco, that you asked Williams a second ago. Like, you've got complacency with wins. You've got, reactions to losses and drive from losses. Also, you've got injuries to contend with and a whole lot of different factors. The thing that I'm concerned about in the which Fitzy mentioned in the presser was that he said he saw that Nico was really on for it that day. He was up for the game. And, like, why aren't we seeing that every week from Nico? Look, he's getting paid an absolute fortune. And to get a pass mark for being up for a game against the last place side, I don't think it's good enough. And I thought he was awesome. He was absolutely awesome. And I'm a big advocate for Nico. I love Nico. But where is Fitzy? I don't know where is his want to pull this out of the players every week. Like, it should be expected. I don't know if Fitzy's hard enough, but it just made me think, and it got me a little frustrated.
Yep, fair enough. Williams, you had a
I
thought?
suppose too, but on that, so Fitzy after the Dargans loss very much said, disrespecting the opposition wasn't an issue today, or in the build-up or something along those lines. And it's like, well, has it been in the past? And I can see how it could. Like, it's a 27-week competition with 3 buys. You can't, I suppose, say that you take any team lightly, but I suppose they would prepare and build differently for each game. As frustrating as it is as fans, they do look at it in blocks of, I think they look at it in blocks of, let's say, 5 games. They don't look at the whole season. They look at like back when we played the Roosters and the Storm, for example. They're looking at period going, let's grab X number of wins out of that. Where I'm looking there, you're right. Nico should be up for it every time. Whether that's mentally on or whether it's just that 1% difference or whether it's an injury thing, I don't know, but it is concerning. Where I'd like to see them from here is finish the season well with 2 good wins in those last 2 games to give us every chance of the top 4, and then perform well. So consistency and perform well first week of the finals. Ideally, that would be week 1, top 4. Things are going our way and we're playing against big opposition and go from there. Let's say Canberra and Canberra. It's been done before. Different side, but it's been done before. But I think more realistically, probably finishing 5th or 6th, and we could well be playing against a red-hot Roosters side or a Broncos side that showed they could turn it on for 20 minutes like they did against us. They did against the Dolphins as well. So consistency, I suppose. See at the last 2 games of the year consistently, get some results, and then show that grit and show that consistency in whatever follows from there.
Yeah, Francis?
Yeah, totally agree. I think I'd like to see a bit more aggression in the middle, just not physically fisticuffs, but just, controlled hard aggression. And so we win a little bit more in the middle than we have done, and keep it going for 60, 70 minutes, not just 20 minutes, and finish their sets with not many errors. And put that with some solid defence and 80 minutes of effort. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah.
And I think they can earn a bit more respect back from their fans if they can do that. Very
good. All right. I guess I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant, a little bit of a tangent, Williams. You've triggered me, mate. The disrespecting the opposition. I hate that comment. I fully understand the scenario of not wanting to give the press or the opposition ammunition by saying something derogatory or bad to someone you're about to face on the sporting field. And hopefully that's all it is, because ultimately, if you're good at your craft and you're coming up against someone who's injury riddled or bottom of the ladder, you should know that when you step foot on that field, you're going to stomp them. You should have that confidence to just be like, yep, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They're going to be walking back with the tails between their legs. We know what we're going to do here. Let's just absolutely put them to the sword. You should have that mentality. You shouldn't be, trepidatious. You shouldn't be concerned. You shouldn't be, what if they do this? Obviously, you've got to research and practice and prepare as best you can, but you should go out there with the mindset that you're going to absolutely slaughter the opposition. Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? That's how you get scenarios like going up against Melbourne or going up against Penrith, where you're beaten before you even begin because you know how good you are. The reverse is also true. You should be going out there knowing that you're going to beat the Titans. You're going to beat, a Dragons team that has half of the team missing through injury. You're going to beat, we'll throw poor West Tigers under the bus because we lose to them for some unknown reason more often than we should. You should know that you're going to beat these teams. And if you go out there,
Roosters team.
Yeah, second string Roosters team, right?
Yeah.
You should go out there with the mindset that you're going to win, that losing is not an option, and then play that way. The fact that we didn't take them lightly, well, no disrespect to them. It's like, well, no, you should have absolutely disrespected them. Gone out there without a second thought and thought, we're just going to destroy these guys. They're not fit to play us in this current state. And that's how you should be playing. That's how you should be approaching the game, especially when you're going up against teams that you feel you should win. And so, like I said, hopefully it's just a front of camera thing, but that mindset, I think, needs to change when you're going up against someone who ultimately you should be stomping. And I think that needs to change. Get in there, get up. We're better than the opposition. Let's go.
Very interesting take.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All
right. Now, okay, let's go with a bit of real talk. Now, this Real Talk segment is brought to you by Morgans at Cronulla. If you're looking for a real stockbroker, then give Charles and Chris a call down in the main street of Cronulla, right behind where Jolly Roger's shop used to be. Last night, and for those listening on delay, it was Monday, the 18th of August, 2025. Dino Mezzatesta appeared on NRL 360 to cover a bunch of topics. It was put to him how we were travelling and if the Sharks are in a premiership window. Now, what's a premiership window? Premiership window is where if you believe your team is in a healthy position, ready enough to challenge to win the premiership. Basically, is a premiership window. You're not rebuilding. You're not trying to put a team together. You're ready to go. Any year is a year you could win in this current state with this current squad. Now, it's not like he jumped at it, but he did agree that, yes, he believes the Sharks are in a premiership window, citing that this team has been together for a while now and that the team has got us to the finals for 3 years in a row, likely this year as well. 2 of those years we were in the top 4, and last year they took us to a prelim. So I pose this question to the panel and our commenters. Are we in a premiership window? Or is it closing? Is it just opening? Are we squarely in the middle? Maybe we aren't in the window. What do you reckon, Williams?
Technically, we are. Like, they've been building for a while, and then they said we're at 1 prop short. So we got AFB. So everyone pre-season, including the club, saying anything less than a prelim was a failure. Ideally a grand final. So you'd argue that, yes, we are. Have we handled it that way due to circumstances in and outside of our control this year? Probably not. So that's the fear that the window is closing. You got McInnes, he's aging. We've had some issues with the halves. They did well on a flat track the other day. But yeah, there's issues with the whole composition of the squad that reared their head through even the win over Souths, the loss to the Dragons, and all the other losses we spoke about before. So, yes, you'd say theoretically it was open, but is it actually? Not sure.
I mean, that's. I'm going to have to put it back on you again there, Williams. Is it open? You've said yes.
I'd say yes.
You put the line through the team halfway through the season.
And I did. And I suppose I stand by that in that this side isn't consistent enough or has the mentality. And I suppose that indirectly, and maybe having heard your comment now about us being, no, we are top dog. We're playing against a origin and injury affected half reserve grade Roosters side in Gosford. We need to be winning this, and we get pumped by 40 and we're full strength. You're like, ooh, there's something significant out of whack, out of balance there. So that's the concern. I'd say, yes, theoretically at the start of the year, the window was believed to be open. But given we've got in a position, I think it's not. And I think there's some key bits that need to be changed. Can we change them overnight? I don't think so. That's why, again, unfortunately, I'm hoping that we get something out of the remainder of the season, because if we're inconsistent, we go, let's say, win the last 2 rounds, finished 5th, and then get pumped with an inconsistent performance, we've learnt nothing. But if we can get something out of it and get a few more big games out of it and go as far as we can, then we should get something out of the year to at least take into next year to maybe open that window a bit wider.
World of Cricket Channel says Premiership window is open, but which way is the wind blowing? Yeah, it's very much hot and cold, isn't it? Then we've got Avocado Shark says, feels like we have most of the ingredients, just need a little something extra to get to the top level. Avocado, let us know what you think that little extra something is. Francis, what do you think about this Premiership window? Are we in it? What's going on?
I think we're in the window, and if we play at our best, that's the big question, we can play with the top 2 or 3 teams. Here we are, 2 rounds to go before finals, and we're 7th. There's a lot of teams below us. The teams above us, we've haven't had a lot of success this year. We've set a little bit of a win last year, and I think the team will try and galvanise and push the window open. It's really down to them. They've got to focus. It's the business end of the season, the pointy end of the season. Got to get there. I think there's big opportunity. I think from the players' point of view, that this is where they strive to be all year, and they've got to pull the big ones out. I think losing McInnes for the rest of the season and most of next season is a shocker. That'll put a lot more pressure on us. Close the window a little bit, but yeah, I'm very positive.
Yeah, all right.
I hear the inconsistencies that you're saying, but you've got to, as the other side of the argument, you've got to take up the stick, take that winner's mentality and go forward. If you don't do that, you may as well not play.
Yep, fair enough. Francis has used the terms opening and closing. Lats, is the window opening or is the window closing?
Mate, I think the window's open. I think the curtains are closed on this season, though. Look, just going back to Avocado Shark's comment, we thought AFB was that little something extra. Hasn't proven to be. He's been awesome. But Rob Walensky has just come out and stolen what I was going to say in saying that a cracking fullback is the missing ingredient, and I totally agree. I think a fit Liam Eisen, or even as we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, possible Chevy Stewart or a Jai Gray or someone.
Yeah.
We need an explosive fullback. We've got a safe fullback, and Will's been awesome. He had a great game on the weekend, but we need an explosive fullback that's always sniffing around, looking to create something. And I think that is the ingredient that we're missing. If we can get the halves to lock in, we know Brayley's on fire. If the halves can lock in like they did on the weekend and just do their jobs, I think that is the missing ingredient. And I think we are in a window. I think I'm going to write this year off as a pass for Fitzy, just in regards to what he's had to deal with travel at the start of the year and Vegas and all that sort of thing. We have had a lot of injuries, and this Cam injury is really going to hurt us going forward. But it's another opportunity for a new young bloke to step up and have a good crack and make it their own. So I think we're in a window. I think we're going okay. I think we're going okay. We should have won a few extra games that we didn't this year, and we lost in the dying seconds. It was just complacency, and I think if we can get on top of that next year, have a really good off season and pre-season, and just hit the ground running from at home in Australia consistently, I think we'll be okay.
I think there's a problem with a cracking fullback missing as part of the ingredients to keep this window open, because if salary cap is reportedly the concern, you're right. The fullback options are someone untested, such as Eisen or Stewart. Might be able to grab someone like Jai Gray, but even him now, I think he's starting to price himself out of our available surplus of cash.
With that rugby offer, yeah, that's going to get his
get
him
that Rebel 360 offer, and we're even rumoured that we're struggling to fit Will in under the cap. So if that's the case, that means we've got to shuffle some other players around to make way for this cracking fullback. Who else in the squad makes way for a new fullback? What do you reckon, Lats?
Look, I don't know what sort of money Cade Dykes was on. I can't imagine it being heaps. I don't know how much that frees up with him going to the Dogs next year.
I'm going to assume it frees up nothing because he was off contract.
Okay.
So
All right,
given that he was off contract, we already knew we weren't spending any money on him next year.
I'm going to say Jesse Ramian.
Okay.
I'm going to say Jesse Ramian. I think Hiroti can do a job there. As we saw over the weekend, we've got him on a really good deal for the club, and he's willing to go out and have a good crack. Yeah, I think Jesse Ramian makes way, maybe heads over to Perth or something like that. Maybe even crosses over the bridge to the Dargans or something. But I think it's going to be someone like Jesse that will.
Yeah, rightio. You sucked in a bit of air there, Francis, when I've asked the question. What are you thinking?
I'm not sure he's going to make way. There was talk of Talakai maybe looking for greener pastures, but I don't know if he's also seen that situation of off contract, or can we save money there?
He's still contracted, yeah, but I think there's rumours that we're going to let him talk, which hopefully is just that, rumours. Williams, what do you reckon, mate?
He's playing great.
He's playing amazing.
I agree with Francis. The Talakai departure scares me because I think he would be ideal in the middle if Hero comes back at a reasonable time. Obviously, we've got options in Colquhoun and Puru, Hohepa, there as well. So, yeah, ideally, Jesse would probably be the one, given his form the last 12 months, that you let go. I don't think it's as easy as that. You got to find a suitor for him, and then how much is that other club going to pay? How much will be left paying as part of the cap? You don't want an Aaron Woods like Bulldogs without paying 80% of his salary or whatever it was, still in your cap there. So it's a difficult one. And I think back to your question about it, I suppose window closing or window being open. There's that latest comment from World of Cricket Channel there, Franco, if you want to bring that up, is that I think that's hit the nail on the head for me anyway. It does seem like an opportunity lost. So to paraphrase Gus Gould about 2016 not being a strong comp, I think it's an exciting comp in that it's close, and there's even the Roosters, for example, could come from 7th place and win the comp, I reckon, the way they're playing. The comment being, we've honestly had our best draw in many, many years. This season seems a huge opportunity lost after our last few very consistent seasons. It does seem that way, that those losses that Lat said we gave up to the Raiders, to the Broncos, to the Tigers, really hurt. And with Hero coming back and a few other things, maybe having a bye this time of year is fantastic to freshen us up. I think if Hero comes back, we find some consistency, we could actually do some damage, but it's a big if. You don't want to be in this position. We could have ideally been 3rd or 4th, looking for 1st or 2nd and build from there. And that's the frustration.
Yeah, while we hit some of these comments, I'll leave you with this thought. How many positional changes does it make to be a rebuild? Yeah,
good point. I think it definitely involve your spine. So if you put an untested fullback in there, is it a quasi rebuild? That going from 2014 to 2016 was 1 year. So we had a 1 year rebuild in 2015 where we had a few new signings and then built from there. So it's a really good point.
New fullback, new lock, new centre, maybe a new prop. Starting to get into dangerous territory, but still fairly stable, depending on who come into those roles. As you said, in 2015, we had some pretty experienced guys step into the gaps there. World of Cricket is against you, Lats. He says, horrible call on Noodles Ramian. At his best, he is a potential match winner, along with Iro in the centres.
I agree with that. I agree with that, but we have seen his best. I don't think we have this year. Maybe we've seen a couple of decent games out of him, but he just seems distracted and off his game. I don't know. He's nowhere near where he was last year when he was in talks about, getting into Origin and that sort of thing. So it's the inconsistency for mine. We should be at least the same or going up, and he's dropped right off. Yeah.
Avocado Shark comes back and he says his likely people that miss out is BHU and Ramian. So he agrees with you. And
Not
if
to mention
I,
Cam being talked about as departing as well, Franco, but that's not for another
yeah,
year.
correct. Rob, I'm gonna twist his words just to make him squirm. He says we only need one Jesse in the team. So Rob's saying we get rid of Calhoun is my interpretation of that.
Without doubt.
Oh,
Without a doubt. And then SJD confirms that the missing ingredient is avocado smoothies at halftime. Well done, SJD. They're all right. So I guess we're all in agreement that there's some kind of premiership window there. But I don't think we've said it's as wide open as maybe it sounded like in the interview with Dino last night. I think there is something missing before we're fully open, and hopefully we can work out what that missing ingredient is before the window starts to shut again. I think we are definitely a contending team. The late great Steve Rogers used to say many a time that if you put your team somewhere thereabouts in the top four, the long season, a lot of luck needs to go your way. One of those years you'll jag a premiership. So I think as long as we're up the top of the ladder, they're giving ourselves every opportunity as opposed to being down the bottom of the ladder. So let's cross our fingers. Let's back the team and see where they can take us because, we're fairly stable at the moment. And by all reports, if the CEO and coach believe we're in a premiership window, then they're going to try and hang together as best they can for the next couple of seasons as they develop. Now, Dino also mentioned the stadium and admitted that it's not been shown in the best light of late. However, he said that fans and members want us to continue playing from home and that the players love it. He mentioned the lack of funding, as in we didn't get any funding from state or federal government. His quote was that we're the only NRL club not to have received funding for their stadium or their centre of excellence, which is an interesting shout out. I haven't fact checked that, but that's an interesting one. He did, I guess, muddy the water by referring to the money that we got from Bruce Baird back in 28, was it?
2007 built the stand into that year.
Built the Southern Stand. But obviously that was quite some time ago. So maybe he's talking about in recent times, we are the only club not to have received funding. He also made mention that the fact that we privately own the ground has a bit of a fallacy as to why we shouldn't be getting funding, because that has already happened in that the government has provided funding to us before. So if it was good enough then, why isn't it good enough now? And I guess personally from me, I kind of agree with him in that we're a non-for-profit company. We're providing a service to members and fans in the community. So maybe we should be thrown a bone a little bit to help. So I think one of my call-outs from this, though, was his mentioning of the members and fans wanting to continue playing at Shark Park. Now, we spoke about this last week. We spoke about it on the debrief as well. I put my hand up. I love Shark Stadium, the place where we're struggling to find a new sponsor. Lats, you said it's a bit of a hole, but it's our hole. We love it. I love going there. We know it's got its warts, but we've certainly seen a trend from, let's say, the Zapier days where he talked about taking a bunch of games away on the road to today where fans were up in arms that was the worst thing that could possibly happen to the Sharks. Taking games away from the home ground could mean the next day we wake up and we're suddenly the Adelaide Sharks. To these days, people are kind of wearing a bit thin on the old stadium. They're going, yeah, it's our home, but the speakers suck, or the toilets suck, or the beer lines are too long, or I can't find anywhere dry. the longer it takes, the harder it's going to be to argue the fact that I think fans want to go to Shark Park. Williams, what have you got, mate? You were there with me on Saturday. You love the park. What are we going to do?
So I love it, and I commute over an hour each way, and I've commuted over 3 hours each way to still attend when I've lived in three different states and territories over the last 15 years or so. So I love it. I've maintained my season seat, and I'm privileged to sit in the ET stand. Admittedly, it's on the drip line ahead of you, in front of you guys, but it is our home. It's great, but it is well off the pace compared to the other offerings in place right now. And it is losing an awful lot of corporate money. There's a lot of issues with the Neil Breen article. There's a lot of issues with even the interview of Dino last night. I haven't seen it, but I have heard that 360, for all their fire and might, were very soft on Dino. But I will give a shout out to Sam at Sharkcast. He has a little bit of a tirade about Neil Breen and that whole thing, going, where's this come from? That was in, I think, last week's episode, going, obviously, it's some kind of media malarkey that comes out whenever we lose a match or whenever there's a bit of heat. So we haven't had it for a while because we've been successful for a while. Now it's come around again. We've got finals time. We're talking about the same thing. It's not up to scratch. I used to defend it a lot, and I visited Brookvale and before the upgrade, Cogra before they got their new stands or new seating. Leichhardt's still a dump, but it's on par, or maybe in some ways worse than Leichhardt. And that puts it at the bottom of the competition with regards to resources. There was a talk in end of 2019 that we would be forced to move to the Sydney Football Stadium or Allianz, and I was terrified of that, and I thought it would kill the club. I still think it may, but I think the way that it's going, it may seem that the big matches may have to go to a bigger thing, to a bigger stadium to attract that corporate dollar, and we may just have to commute to Moore Park, which I think is not right. And I know that everyone in the Shire probably won't do it, and we'll probably end up with 10,000 people there, and that you'll be left with the games against the Cowboys, the Titans, the Warriors at Shark Park. But I think that without government funding, and that's the only way I can see it being bankrolled, and quite frankly, I don't think there's any room for it. I think it's almost borderline, if like what was spoken about a few years ago with a Chinese investor putting an A-League team in at Loftus with proposing a 30,000 seat stadium like Combank that we would share with the Dragons and this A-League team. That seems like a lifetime ago, and that would be a dream scenario, which I don't think is happening anytime soon. So I hate to say it, but for the first time ever, and this is not through any fault of my own, I'm happy to go there, but a lot of other people aren't, and it is wearing thin, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that that Loftus plan would have been an absolute godsend, and it's sad that it's vanished and doesn't look like that's coming back anytime soon. I think Neil Breen, or whatever his name was, I think he was a Cowboys fan, so he came down to the loss against the Cowboys and took his frustrations out on the stadium.
Francis, I thought he's on the payroll at the Roosters, but that's maybe just me.
Yeah. Aren't they all? Francis, you've worked at Shark Park. You were there in its heydays. You've got any fond memories of the ground?
That was a fantastic ground. Had maximum capacity about 18,000, 19,000. Occasionally squeezed 20,000 in, and then I think health, safe and occupation, stepped up and limited the numbers. I definitely agree that I love going there. It's got a great atmosphere. I'm lucky I don't have to travel very far. But the obvious problems you stated with the bathrooms and the bar lines and the sort of inadequate facilities really make it awkward. Sometimes I'll be standing in general admission and people will come from country New South Wales or from interstate, and they this is real suburban footy, and it shouldn't be. It should be a statement, a strong ground where we make it our place where no one beats us. But I think it's deteriorated with not much future to develop it in the near future. So disappointing. I'm disappointed with it. I don't really want to move, but I also realise that we might have to move. Yeah.
One of the things that was put forward, Lats, and this one sort of irks me a little bit, was that by playing at Shark Park, we are locking out the fans. Now, we don't typically sell out when the stadium is we'll call it built. At the moment, with the Peter Burns stand out of commission, we do see the sold out sign pop up a few more often than not. But when that Peter Burns stand is up and functioning, it's rare that we get sold out. And even with these sellouts, you look around and there's some empty seats around because people haven't turned up, and they're putting their tickets back on the market for others to repurchase. That said, this lockout that was raised is more in terms of playing finals games at Shark Park. Now, I put it to you, lads, as someone who's gone to Shark Park for a finals match and tried to get tickets and knows what kind of a headache that is. I don't think that's Shark Park causing to lock out Sharks fans. I think that's the NRL who demand the 50-50 split where they control ticket sales and they lock out Shark fans to allow the opposition team members. They bugger that. It's a home ground advantage. Fill it with Shark fans. Don't lock out Shark fans. Lock out the opposition.
Should be a fortress, mate. Like the old ET days. Like you used to go down there, we couldn't lose. It was, mate, I don't know. It's just frustrating. I think you're right. I think it is the NRL that's blocking us from having the majority at these finals matches because they want it on TV looking, 50-50 and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, look, I think they've got a lot to answer for too. Not to mention, though, we don't get great numbers to the games, but the last few years, the weather has been absolutely putrid. It's not a very protected ground, as we know. It gets slushy on the hill, and you know what the drip line's like, boys. And it's not very pleasant down there when it's suddenly buster and it's teeming with rain, is it?
You definitely need to rug up at times. Sess here says, we can't lose the Bermuda Triangle. No way. Forget that. SJD says, the worst thing about Shark Park is the awful automated Sharkies chant, which always hoodoos us. It absolutely does. Then Rob comes in, he says, the atmosphere might be good at the ET, but outside of that area, there are a hell of a lot of people not watching the game or making noise. Does a new stadium or a revamped one fix that? Right. Well,
I think the loss of Beer Hill has a lot to say about that. Unfortunately, since the loss of Beer Hill, there isn't the BS chant, there isn't the frivolity that would come out when we're on the attack. That the rest of the stadium would feed off and drive. I don't think you hit the nail on the head there, Rob. Moving stadium's not going to fix that.
Yeah, I think though there's probably an element of depending on how big of a revamp there is. Like if you talk about, say, CommBank, we'll use that as the shining light, as the media likes to do at this point in time. It creates its own atmosphere by, if you've got one stadium cheering away, that sound echoes through the ground by the chamber created by a fully enclosed stadium. So yes, if you were able to stick up 3 other walls around the ET stand, it might improve that atmosphere. But you are right, Rob, and we have mentioned it in the past as well. We do sit in the ET stand. The podcast is called the ET Stand Podcast. We probably got it a lot better than some that go to Shark Park. And as a point of rule, I don't use the toilets when I go there. I make sure I'm all good because everyone complains about them pretty badly as well. So we're certainly looking through it with rose-colored glasses, but still we acknowledge the warts. But I love Shark Park. Certainly somewhere I would hate to move away from. Boldo brings up that Franco loves the name the Bermuda Triangle. No, I do not. No, I do not. The World of Cricket channel comes back and he says, night games at Shark Park is always horrible. It's cold, it's wet, and miserable. And if you, I'll ad lib to the back of that one, World of Cricket. If you are Freddie Fittler, he still has nightmares about playing at Shark Park because basically the Sharks invented night football. We were looking for a way to increase revenue, and nighttime football brought in a lot more fans. So we said, let's give us some nighttime games whenever you can give them to us. And that was that. Nighttime football reigned supreme from there. And opposition fans hated coming to Shark Park at night to play in the winter. So, yep, very good. Stuart Campbell says, for us to build Combank Stadium in Cronulla, it would cost us close to $480 million now. It cost a lot of money. Hopefully it wouldn't be us
from the Leagues Club.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, we don't have one.
Get those super chats in, guys, because we need the money to build a $480 million stadium.
I think we're at about $18 at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, I think, look, obviously the unwritten rule and the problem with us getting funding from state and federal is that we are very much a safe Liberal seat. There is no buying of votes here in the Shire, unfortunately, trying to sway fans to vote. But as Williams mentioned earlier, trying to amalgamate with another sporting code. We've got a very large football/soccer base in the Shire. Having some sort of A-League team to share, maybe also the Dragons, as much as that hurts, but if it gets us a great new stadium, sort of Central Shire, that would also be good. Selfishly, I'd love it to stay at Woolooware, but if it's between SFS and say, let's say Loftus, taking Loftus every day of the week. So, yeah. All right. SJD says, Sharks see well at night due to a reflective layer in their eyes that enhances low light vision, similar to cats. He has brought back the fun fact segment. Very good, SJD. I don't need to come up with one now. And then Stuart Campbell comes back with more facts. Replacing the ET stand with the same stand being built at Penrith Stadium is $180 million. 15,000 per metre squared is the approximate stadium rate. Well, we did just speak about it. The Southern Grandstand, for those that have seen it, know its approximate size and design. That cost us, I think it was 12 million.
Something along those lines.
In 2008. So
very small though.
Very small, and basically just a square shell. No real design or anything there with that one. RoboCop says, if the Sharks were located in the West, there wouldn't be a problem getting funding from the government. It's pretty true, mate. Exactly. Pretty true. Yep. All right. Now, in the match versus the Titans, the Warrior Cam McInnes went down with an ACL. Now, when I say went down with, what I mean is he tried to run it off before hobbling off the field. As Williams mentioned, at the grounds, weren't really sure what was happening. He was so quick and helpful in getting off that we ended up committing an infringement against the ruck at the scrum, because even the players and the ref didn't realise that the lock was missing, and we were a player short to pack the scrum. That said, we've lost our captain Cam. It has been confirmed that he's done his ACL. And fortunately, we have someone here who knows a thing or two about ACLs. So, Francis, mate, I think everyone at this stage knows what an ACL is. But if you want to give us a quick, in a nutshell, synopsis for those that don't, I'm happy to hear it.
Okay. Well, the ACL is the anterior. I'll just grab my handy model of the knee here. So if we look side on, the front of the knee is the anterior. The back of the knee is the posterior. At the back, we can see this little structure. It's the posterior cruciate ligament. And if we turn the knee around to the front, which is the anterior, bend the knee, and we can see the anterior cruciate ligament sitting deep in the front of the knee. So anterior, just the front cruciate ligament compared to the back one. The anterior cruciate ligament limits forward movement of the shin. So you'll often see trainers testing that movement. And the anterior cruciate ligament limits rotation. So when there's a foot planted with the body weight rotating, it overloads the anterior cruciate ligament and it snaps like a rubber band. And that's your tear. What that does is make the knee unstable for pivoting on, and therefore it needs to be reconstructed for someone to return to pivoting and running sports. Yeah, so usually in a professional sense, particularly in rugby league and other football codes, it's going to be between 9 and 12 months before they return to play. I think we were talking earlier about Jada Taylor, who's playing in the women's or been named in the women's team, had her ACL injury in August last year and is making a return this upcoming week, I believe. So that's slightly, pretty much spot on for time to return. Women have a higher rate of ACL injury in men in professional sport. A lot to do with the different shape of pelvis of men and women and the angles at the knee because of the width of the pelvis. But that's another story. But yeah, so that's a short summary. Yeah.
Does age impact the recovery of an ACL? I know, recovery in general is hampered by age. What about an ACL? Is that something similar?
Interestingly, Franco, not really. The people that have to take it a little bit longer with their recovery are the 19s to the 23-year-olds. And often when they have their ACL reconstructed, they'll have an extra articular tenodesis, which is another tendon reconstruction on the outside of their knee to give extra support for rotation. And that's because competitive sport players in that age bracket have the highest recurrence rate, so they now have a secondary procedure done at the same time. So they come back a little bit slower for the first sort of probably 6 or 8 weeks, and then accelerate and catch up. So it's still the sort of 12-month period, but they'll often have a little bit of extra stability work done as well as the ACL reconstruction.
Gotcha. All right. Cam came to us with a busted ACL. So when we signed him from the Dragons, he still had a year to run on his contract. He did his ACL there with the Dragons and then came to us. So that's a second ACL in 4 years. We know historically there with Cade Dykes, he's had multiple ACLs. Connor Tracy at the Sharks had 3 in a row. Metcalf's had a couple. Is there anything to do with repeated ACLs? Is that just bad luck, mate? Or is it something that once you've done one, that's a little bit more tentative?
There is a higher correlation of once you've suffered an ACL injury that I'm not sure of the exact percentage, but there's a higher chance of having a second ACL injury as well. Yeah. So
right.
I'm not exactly sure of the science behind that, but we know just through anecdotal evidence, like you've just stated, there's repeated ACL injuries and not necessarily on the same leg, often the uninvolved leg. Yeah. So what's happened to Cam is not unusual, unfortunately.
And then so you mentioned the 9 to 12 months recovery. What does recovery generally look like there? Is it rest for 3 months, then light running, then contact, or is it different for different people?
Generally, it's rest, active rest, like very controlled, simple exercises for the first 7 to 10 days. These modern surgeries, you can get training very early. What is the big limiting factor is you need to let the new graft for the ligament, so it takes usually hamstring tendon is the most common one from your hamstrings, and it's built into your knee to make the new ACL. It's got to have good 12 or 14 weeks of getting integrated into your knee joint and getting healthy nutrition before you load it too much with running or pivoting. So in that first 2 weeks is a bit of rest, but the next 10 weeks you'll be well and truly into your gym program, but not loading it with running or pivoting. Yeah. So, and then from 3 months onwards, you'll build your running and you apply your jumping drills, and it will be 6 months should be sport-specific training through to 9 months. No real contact until after that 9 months, and then it's getting ready to play. Yeah. So it's pretty. It's long-winded and very intense, and that's where I think professional players have it over weekend players and people that are going to hold down a job because they just don't have the time to put in the hard work to get their rehab going as quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And there's that element of patience as well, right? I suppose.
It's a very frustrating injury because people have tried to shorten and accelerate the rehabilitation by a few months, and the end result is that they've had a re-injury and the ACL's failed again, so they go to surgery and have to start again. So very much standardised now. People will get to their 6, 7, 8 months and feel like they're ready to play, but they're just not allowed to. Yeah.
Yep.
So
I was trying to remind Lats on the debrief. He was all for the Lars. Now, you said Lars was no good, right?
That's correct, yeah. I don't think they even do them anymore. Well, I haven't heard of one being done for a long time.
There you go,
Luke
Lats.
Cavell famously.
Black market if you want a Lars.
Luke Cavell famously played the, I think it was best part of the second half against the Eels in 2010, I think it was, when Tim Smith's first game for us. And then got Lars. We thought his career was gone, got Lars, and then came back and played the last 5 or 6 games of the year, but obviously not a long-standing or long-term fix.
No.
Francis?
The problem with the Lars is when they failed, the material that they were made out of infiltrated the joint and you couldn't get it out of the joint. So it created a chronic long-term inflammation that swelled the knee and made future operations difficult. So it was very long, maybe 2 or 3 operations just to clean that rubbish out of the knee joint and then get it prepared for, revision of the ACL reconstruction using either a donor tendon or a tendon from your other leg, perhaps. So that's why it sort of went out of favour. It was quite successful in getting someone back like Luke in the short term, but they had a high failure rate, and when they failed, that was when the proverbial hit the fan. Yeah.
Fair enough. So, yeah, knowledge over time.
Yeah.
All right. Stuart Campbell asks, was it the same knee? No, mate, it was the opposite knee.
Yeah, it was the opposite. Yeah.
Then Robbo Cop says, do doctors prescribe any type of steroid to strengthen the ACL?
No, they don't. I guess you're sort of making an analogy to anabolic steroids for muscles. So the ligament is a collagen collagen tissue, so it doesn't react to steroids like muscle does. The nutrition comes from the fluid in the knee joint, and some small blood vessels will form around the tendon and keep it in good health. So no medication really to, in the sense of steroids. Healthy diet, protein, collagen in your diet can help tissue repair, but certainly no steroids, yeah.
Okay, very good. Any questions from you guys, Williams or Lats, while we have one of the most knowledgeable people we know on the subject of knees?
I covered everything. It was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful, Francis. Yeah, I was out on holidays on one of those big giant rubber floaty things being pulled by a boat, and and I friend was falling off, and I was trying to hold them up and trying to keep this thing straight, and my knee just popped. I'm sure I've done my ACL and it's never been repaired, because ever since then, when I'm dancing late at night after a few drinks, I seem to fall over. That's the only reason I can imagine, is because of that knee pop then. So
No other factors. No
other factors at all. Well, with Cam now suspected to not turn up next week, we need a new captain. So Lats and I kind of had a bit of a chat. There were a lot of comments through the debrief about that. So I'm going to maybe leave this one for you to start up, Williams. Who gets the job? Who do you think is going to be named as captain, and who do you think should be captain?
So I think Boldo is gunning for Nico, just so that one of his preseason predictions comes up true, which may well be the case, but I don't think so. Looking at, we've had Brayley sit in on the press conference post-game a few times when Cam's had other injury-related absences. So I think it'll either be Brayley or maybe even Teague. I think they'll be the two that it'll be down to. And I think it might be Brayley, given that. I think I can pick the one on the weekend, and there was one other earlier in the year where he wasn't captain. I'm not sure why Cam wasn't used, but Brayley was there. So they've obviously groomed him for that kind of media role. Teague has captained us once already against the Eels last year when we were missing McInnes and Nico on origin duty. But I think they'll keep it away from Nico and they'll give it to one of those two.
Okay. Francis, do you see a potential captain there in waiting?
Yeah, my money's with Brayley as well. He seems to be the obvious pick to me.
Yeah, I certainly think I was on record picking Brayley. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Teague gets it. As you said, Williams, he's been nominated as captain a couple of times in the past. But I think that Brayley is probably the man for the job. Now, I don't know what mindset you guys are in. Lats, I think you were a Brayley man through the debrief. Does your answer change thinking it's a captain for the remainder of the season versus the real possibility that it could be the captain from now on? What do you think, Lats?
Yeah, look, mate, I think regardless, I think Brayley would be a great candidate. Both going forward from now on and just in the short term. Personally, as I mentioned in the debrief, I'd love to see Tricky as captain. I think he'd hold the officials to account, and I think he'd hold the team to account. He's got a bit of fire in him, and but as I mentioned in regards to Nico being the top dollar man, I don't think we'll see that. It might be a bit of a kick in the face to Nico. Yeah, I think Brayley, and I'm happy with Teague also, but I think I'd be more than happy with Brayley.
Yeah, because there is a real opportunity, a real possibility that, as we've discussed, McInnes being out for up to 12 months, by the time he's ready to return to the field, he's already signed with another team and only has potentially 4 games left with the Sharks. So I don't imagine in that scenario you would be giving him the captaincy back for those couple of games if someone has held that position now for theoretically 12 months. So it could be an interesting one. I certainly think we've got a ready-made replacement in Brayley. We just haven't seen how or what type of captain he'll be. Now, Lat's made a good suggestion or a good point on the debrief episode, and that was if someone like Brayley was captain, we think he's a little bit quiet. Maybe he comes out of his shell. We don't know. But do we need a bad cop? Do we need someone in the team that doesn't have the C next to their name, that lays down the riot act, that puts players in their place for not hitting their assignment, for not lifting, for not keeping up standards at training? Do we need someone there that is willing to be that bad guy and to shame someone for not turning up? Francis, have you seen that in the past? Someone who's quite happy to shout someone down if the need arises?
Yeah, in the day when I was back for several seasons with the club, there was no, I wouldn't say bad cop, but in my experience, ET would make some strong suggestions to all players. So I think it has to be a top dog in the club, and someone who they respect. Otherwise, it can sort of fall on deaf ears. So haven't seen as you described, a real give it to them sort of attitude. But ET certainly let everyone know if they weren't hitting the mark or doing what was expected. And but no, I haven't seen a real bad cop in the club in my experience. Do we need one? Half my heart says yes. Yeah. So I think it would be handy, but is that going to cause other issues? I'm not sure.
Who would that be, Williams?
AFB comes to mind. I suppose if he's signed, he's the big money guy. If he wants to take a leadership role, he'd be the one to fit into it, I think.
He's a bit of a quiet individual himself, though, isn't he? He doesn't really have a blow up in him.
It seems that way. So, we don't have, if you compare it to 2016, Ennis, I would have said, was one of the bad cops, I suppose, to hold everyone to account. And obviously Gal was Gal. We don't have that. And that's leadership is one thing we have been lucky, not through any fault of McInnes. It's just his style. But even then, I think Ennis has since said that he found it difficult to, I suppose, manage the young guys like Val and Jack Bird. Because they were just like, we'll drop the ball 10 times, so we'll come back and win, right? Like, no, you guys have to focus. You only get these opportunities every so often in your career. Make this one count. Wado, he became a good captain towards the end of his career as well. So, I don't know, AFB, it's a position he could grow into. I can't really think of anyone else. I'd be hoping Nikora. I was hoping Nikora, but his form hasn't been great this year either. So, it's a tough one.
Maybe Ronnie can turn some of that aggression inwards?
Well, potentially. If he could hold himself to account, a hard thing, but he does seem to feed off that. So, if you could get the best out of everyone, the team seems to feed off his energy. So that's a great left field suggestion from the left wing. Yeah,
I've definitely seen him chatting away in a huddle, so we know he can talk. That might be the angle, I think. What I don't want to see is a group of captains. I'm against that. I don't like the idea, especially if we've got someone who can. The Knights, the Tigers.
The Knights had 5 captains.
The Knights had 5 captains. I thought the Tigers had 5 captains at one stage as well.
Probably. Got 5 teams.
Yeah, it's crazy. So one captain for me, thanks, and then a leadership group, I think, is the way to go. But anyway, we will wait and see. Not long to wait to see who will be named captain, but certainly something that will be interesting because that means this week there's a bit of a change-up. The copy and paste, Control-C, Control-V, is broken. The coach will not be able to name the same team last week as he named this week. He will actually need to name a different team because Cam is not available to us. So we'll quickly talk about that. They've got a few comments here around the potential team. Evan R here says, losing Cam sucks, but why am I not concerned? It's a good question. Are you concerned, Lats?
No, mate. No, I'm not concerned. I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be fine.
Okay, good. So you're not concerned. Why are you not concerned?
I'm just not. I think we're all right. We'll cover it. We're good.
We'll cover it. All right. Yep. Very good. SJD says the worst thing about losing Cam is maybe Brayley will run less because he'll be burdened with even more tackling. Oof, there's a chance there. I hope that's not the case.
I'm just excited to see who's going to step up? There's plenty of young blokes there. Will it be shared between Colquhoun and Puru? I think I'm excited to see, because it's someone's there to really make something of themselves. A young bloke there to really put their name in lights and have a good crack.
Yep, fair enough. Now this one harkens back to the shuffling of our team and the premiership window, but it could play in here. SJD says the better question is, who do we keep? He'd do anything. He'd only be keeping Iro, Ronaldo, Nico, AFB, Brayley, Teague, Talakai, Stone Street, Gabriel, Colquhoun, and Hoepa. He's getting rid of the rest. That is definitely rebuild territory.
Yeah.
There's some big names there missing, I think. But all right, SJD, you're going to have to wait till next season for some sort of change like that. Potentially even 2027. All right, well, we know McInnes is out. We saw Atkinson get dropped. There was sickness to BHU that brought in Tapua and Hoepa for a new look bench. And then with now McInnes out, that leaves a spot. What does the makeup of the team look like? What do you want to see come Tuesday next week, Williams?
Well, depends on if Hero's back. If Hero's back, I'm not sure. They keep saying he's a few weeks away. But if he's back, then McInnes is gone. Hero will be in, Talakai to the bench, Colquhoun to start, and Talakai be the cheat code, as mentioned by several commenters, off the bench. If not, then I think it'll be Colquhoun to lock and Hoepa off the bench.
Okay, not bad. Francis, do you have a suggestion to wade in on this one?
Oh, I don't think I could change off what Williams has said. I'm pretty set with that. I haven't got any other suggestions, Franco.
Okay, all right. Lats, what do you got for us?
Yeah, look, mate, I think even if Hero's fit, I'd like him to sit the night's game out. I don't think he's needed there. Just give him an extra week to, he's got a big game against the Dogs the following week. I'd like to see Puru and Colquhoun share lock duties. And yeah, I just think that, a bit more impact with the two of them coming off the bench here and there. And I think they're pretty good. I don't think they'll do us any harm.
All right. Now, we've got SJD saying Nico's done 10 post-match presses, by the way. He would know because we know SJD is Fitzy, so he's sitting there next to him.
Keeping a tally.
He then says there's no I in team, but there's one in Nico. It's ultimately Nico's team. So I think that's SJD saying that Nico should be made captain. And then Stuart Campbell says it could be Brayley to try and convince him to re-sign post-2026, as in making him captain. We've then got SJD. Colquhoun is in his starting 13. He's an 80-minute player at the Jets and a better ball player than Talakai. Talakai on the bench is also bringing back the cheat code. We've certainly missed the cheat code for sure. Now, I would sort of say, don't quite know what kind of thumb injury we've got with Ramian. I'm going to say I don't think he's going to be back anytime soon, but I would also say that he should be left off the team, especially if he's not coming back 100%. I think that we need to look at going to leave Hiroti there, because Hiroti is just killed it, right? And until we see otherwise, we're going to leave Hiroti in the centres. So Hiroti stays. If Iro is fit, I like your suggestion there, Lats, of leaving him out for the Knights game. The only question could be for fitness reasons. Maybe you want him to get a bit of match fitness before the bigger games. I disagree with SJD. I'd like to see Talakai in the 13. but I don't particularly mind if he's off the bench and he comes in to replace Colquhoun at some stage. So I think they share the duties, and then I'd like the rest of the bench to be big boppers. So BHU coming back from illness, Toby. We've then got Hazelton and Rudolph, with of course Kafusi coming back to the team as well. So we've got options there. It's going to be a little bit different. We're going to be bigger, stronger, potentially faster as well. So yeah, Cam is a bit of a loss, but I think at that same time we've got a scenario of optimism, right? We spoke about losing Ramian. We sort of said that that's going to be a concern, but probably something exciting to see, and it was. Hiroti did amazing things. So losing Cam is going to be a bit of a concern, but having Colquhoun there or Talakai, even maybe Herhepa, a little bit more ball playing than Cam, a little bit more speed than Cam, definitely will change the way we defend. We know Cam is very much the rock of our defensive structure, our line speed, plugging holes. That's all Cam. So someone will definitely have to lift their game there. As you said, Lats, who's going to lift? But it should be exciting. All right. Now, what we have is on. We've got the NRLW coming up. So we're going to have the Sharks versus the Warriors. Now, the NRLW team is absolutely besotted with injuries. They are hurting. Definitely at the beginning of the season, I was all chips in. We're gonna go to the grand final, guys. The team is doing all right, but certainly the injuries have taken their toll. We can certainly say that we're feeling that. Have a bit of a look here at the team. Lats, you want to go through the names for me, buddy?
Yep. At the back, we've got Emma Veron, Cassie Staples and Georgia Ravics on the wing. Tiana Penatani-Gray and Grace Lee Weeks are your centres. Georgia Hanaway at 6. Shantae Kiriaratu at 7. Ellie Johnson and Steph Faulkner in the front row. Brooke Anderson at hooker. You've got Manalita Takapatolo and Anna Maria Kiriaratu in the second row. Talay Holmes is your lock. Tyler King, Jacinta Carter, Nakia Davis-Welsh, and Caitlin Johnson-Green on the bench. And your coach, Tony Herman. And
it's probably worth mentioning because Boldo has a favourite in Jada Taylor. She's listed there at jersey 18, which Francis mentioned as well, coming back from her own ACL injury, potentially there to step in at fullback instead of Emma Vera. And that's going to change up the way the team is structured. Emma's been doing an absolutely amazing job there at fullback, certainly a shining light for the team, but is flexible enough to play in other positions as well. So whether or not that shuffles things around will remain to be seen, but certainly some exciting times ahead.
Absolutely chomping at the bit to get out there, wouldn't she?
Absolutely. Now, Williams, the NRLW team got the win against the Titans last week. That was a bit of an interesting one. Do you want to take us through that?
Yeah, I can quickly. Pending any technical difficulties. I got punted 3 times just then by Firefox, so switched to Chrome. Thanks, Google. I haven't seen the full game, unfortunately. I was hoping to get both games in live, but couldn't, and made it just before, right on kickoff for the men's. But was listening to the radio a bit. ABC were providing some updates with some, but not play-by-play commentary, but score updates. And it was 0-0 at half-time. We can see the first try down 6-0, so there was a deficit that Lats was talking about. We came back to get back to 6-4. Got another try too, so the tries were by Veron and Staples. And then we missed both conversions, but then we got a couple of penalty goals late to win 12-8 after they'd had a penalty goal from in front. There was we copped a sin bin with Anne-Marie Kuratu going to the bin there, and also a few contentious calls that Lutz was talking about pre-show, including one where it seemed to be a dragged into touch call that I think went into our favour. But yeah, a bit of controversy there, but a solid win. We need to start racking up those wins after losing games to the Tigers and others to give us a bit of a rough start to the year.
Yeah. I think it's certainly one of those things where the shortened season catches you off guard, doesn't it? So shortened season, top 6, sitting in 5th, kind of shaky ground for the Sharks girls. That said, the draw moving forward, you'd like to think that we've got this. We've got,
Hopefully.
a bit of talent in the team. We're still going to get there. And you know what? I know it's cliche and I know it doesn't quite play out for the men's game, but with the NRLW at this stage, I do think that the finals are a bit of a different competition come finals, so long as you're not going up against the Red Hot Roosters.
Taking it to another level this year after winning it last year. We were so close last year, that comeback, and wasn't to be. But look, we've got plenty of strike in our team all across the park, and with Taylor coming back, it's only going to be enhanced, and we can make a huge push for it. We're sitting in 5th. We're just outside that top sort of 3. I think we'll be all right. I think we'll get there.
Yeah. I think
we've got the experience.
Definitely. I think we've got, you're right, experience there, and I think that we have shown that we've got points in us when we want to score points, and I think that's going to help us come the later end of the season. So let's go NRLW girls. Rob calls out that we're going to miss Biddle. Yep, she's an absolute weapon. So I agree with you there, Rob. But who have they put in there? Gracie Lee Weeks.
Yep.
Maybe
she
Gracie.
Can do a job.
She can do a job, but maybe she's the one that misses out. Maybe that's where Emma slots in at centre and make way for Jada Taylor. But yes, I think
I'll tell you what, though,
Lee's...
Franco, Caitlin Johnson-Green's a massive in for us. I was stoked at her signing from the Knights, and then she had some time off, had a baby, and to come back 3 months after giving birth is unbelievable and play in an elite competition like the NRLW. So hats off to her, and she's going to give us some big push going forward as well.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? So as we said, decimated with injuries, but we're starting to get some troops back. So it's pretty much exciting times. A little bit of cleanup work here for some of our other comments. We've got Robocop saying, any new rumour signings for next year? Look, there's nothing that we're privy to at this stage, Robo, other than what's been reported. Lats, you've got a bit of mail, I suppose.
Just, mate, they've dropped off a little bit this week, but the Jaden Campbell talks, they've been around a bit. Would be a handy pickup, would be great at the back for us, but I don't see how we're going to put up the money to attract a player like that. Chevy Stewart is another one from Canberra. Jai Gray, they've dropped right off as well, with him being offered that $900,000 contract for for that breakaway league. So
look,
nothing's set in stone though with legs.
I think it's no surprise that a lot of the rumours are coming around in that fullback position. We know that Will is under a bit of heat, unsigned, and off contract. So there's where those rumours are flying. Certainly, we're going to get linked to people in that position. But outside of that, no. The only other, I guess, rumours were the potential loss of BHU and Talakai, where they're talked about maybe shopping them around to make some salary cap space.
Is that Robocop or Robocop?
Robocop, please.
Robocop, not Robo.
Robocop.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go, Robocop.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine it's Robocop.
Is it Dally-M or Daly-M? Aiden or Aden? You be the judge.
You let me know.
Boldo or Baldo? It's Baldo.
Definitely Baldo.
It's Boldo.
Definitely Baldo. Mr. Dave asks, is there any news on who will replace the now empty restaurant attached to the stadium? Mr. Dave, that empty space, it's not actually empty. I think it's still got a whole bunch of furniture and whatnot fit out in there. They've just locked it up. It was used on Old Boys Day, Francis, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was good.
Out of the
So you
rain,
have
out
fun
of
in
the
there?
wind. Yeah.
Watching
light
from
refreshing.
that vantage point was all right, was it, mate?
It was a beautiful view, and yeah, it was absolute pleasure to just have the windows down and not get wet.
Very good. Excellent. Yeah, I think, look, we were always talking about getting a Chinese feed for one of the games. Never actually eventuated, but I think definitely once a new restaurant is in there, that's something we should all strive to do, cost permitting. Dave, yeah, they are. The Sharks came out and said that they were trying to get a quick fix, something in there before the end of the season. With one home game left, it's probably not going to happen, mate. There are new managers there for the retail precinct, so they've got a bit of a vision, but apparently, yeah, there was some concerns about maybe paying the bill. So watch this space. It is a bit of an upsetting scenario where we know that the Sharks were kind of getting a bit of a revenue share from that Chinese restaurant. So hopefully whatever else goes in there, we'll scratch that itch. But we know that there is still plans for another restaurant to go in there. We just don't know what that will be yet. I'll be very surprised if it's not Chinese though. Boldo comes in and he says, it's not Boldo. He's given us $2 super chat for that one. I can only imagine.
That'll do me. The creator, the tight ass, puts in the lowest super chat that we've ever had here. $2. That'll do me.
And I can only imagine that I didn't read that incorrectly because we know he's full of typos. So he meant to say it's not Boldo, right? That's what we're saying there.
His name is spelt correctly, though. So was that typed by him? It definitely wasn't the Sharks Twitter team, that's for sure.
Mr. Dave.
We love you, David.
Robbo, you're going to have to come in, mate, and clear this up. It's
RoboCop.
RoboCop. Mr. Dave votes for RoboCop, and RoboCop says Crime Prevention Unit OCP. So there you go. RoboCop.
There's only one B, Franco. It's not Robbo.
There we go. You will call him RoboCop, not RoboCop. Good work, Rob. Oh, gosh. All right, guys. Anything else you'd like to see us cover before we hit end on this one? Anything we've missed?
Good,
we're all good. We've done well.
Actually, Franco, I'll just pay mention. I forgot to put this in the socials last week. The Supercross that's coming down to Cronulla will be awesome. It's awesome they're looking outside the box and thinking outside the box and trying to gain some financial advantage in the off season. I love that they're doing this. I'm going to get down there. It's going to be awesome.
Yep, lovely. I can't wait. I have no interest in it at all, but just to see something else, something different there in Shark Park.
Exciting, though, to watch.
Yeah, going to get in there, show some support behind that, and hopefully we get to see some more things show up in that stadium there. Be awesome. SJD says, dead or alive, you're coming with me, as he slowly lathers the Sunblock 3000 onto his skin. Very good. Mr. Dave says, nice to meet you, Alex Murphy. Whew. All right. Awesome.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Some of these super chats we're going to have to maybe put to Williams getting a new laptop or something. Apologies there, everyone.
I'm actually going to blame
getting off dial-up.
I'm going to blame StreamYard for this one because it was two different browsers punting me. So I think it might be the. Anyway, we love you, StreamYard.
Very good.
Your internet just went out in sympathy of Chris Kelly, surely.
True. Someone's going to hold that end of the bargain.
And I apologise for my little bit of broken rambling there as he was coming in and out. Certainly was off my game while that was happening.
Not helping.
But all good. Rob says you're on his old internet connection.
Most likely.
Most likely. Well, everyone, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We really do appreciate it. If you missed us live, comment below. If you want to see how the discussions went through the games, jump on our Discord, be part of the discussions through the week with all the fallout and various future games. There is no debrief this week due to the bye. However, we might be working on a random bonus episode. So make sure you're subscribed so that you will be alerted when that's going up. If you're not subscribed, I don't know how you're going to know about it. So you better get in there and subscribe. Thanks very much, everyone, for joining us. Thanks, Francis, again, mate. Your knowledge is unparalleled. That's brilliant there at Southside Physio. Well done, buddy. Appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lats and Williams. You guys, fun as always. And thanks very much to the listeners and the people jumping on with comments. That was really fun. We tried to keep it short and sweet with the bye round, but we're here, we're having a good time, and we still cracked an hour and a half. Apologies to the people that like shorter podcasts, but you can piecemeal it, I'm sure. Let's go, Sharkies. Up, up.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the E.T. Stand Podcast.